Hello, and welcome to Handled-ish, Productivity for the Imperfect, a weekly podcast for those who want to elevate their productivity but are not looking for perfection. I'm your host, Betsy Hayes, and I am so glad that you're here joining me from podcast land or on YouTube. This is episode number 11, Marking Milestones. Most of us are used to celebrating milestones, anniversaries, birthdays, all that good stuff. But in this episode, I'm going to encourage you to level up a bit with your milestone marking and have a little more fun. You might be wondering, what does this have to do with productivity, even productivity for the imperfect? You might have wondered last week why celebrating had anything to do with productivity for the imperfect. Well, I should have mentioned it last week, but again, true to the brand, better late than never. So the reason I shared about celebrating last week, even tiny things, even things that have no reason to celebrate, like, a random Tuesday afternoon, and why we're talking about marking the milestones today is we cannot do the things that we want to. We can't be productive if we're feeling depleted. And one way to get undepleted, actually refueled, that's a better word, is to celebrate or to mark a milestone in some fun way. It really sort of revamps our energy and gets us back to where we want to be. So here are a few thoughts. Again, birthdays, anniversaries, please mark those milestones regardless of how old you are and regardless of how many anniversaries and birthdays you've had. Celebrating those things are really important. Unfortunately, we don't have an infinite number of those days. And so we should definitely honor the fact that we are blessed enough to have them. You can mark 100 days of anything. This is often done in kindergarten with pomp and circumstance, but it can also work for anything. It can work for a marriage, first 100 days, first 100 days on the job, first 100 days in a new home, first 100 days in a new, habit forming plan, whatever you want. Might be fun to mark those milestones. You can celebrate creating new generations when babies are born by taking multi-generational photos. You could make a collage of photos of family members wearing the same thing at the same age, marking all of those milestones. I think that's really sweet. You can honor growing up by taking a photo that was taken in your youth and recreate it with the same people now that you're older. My cousins did this for their mom, for my Aunt Barbara, their mom, for her 80th birthday, and it was the hit of the party. You can start a countdown. Many people do countdowns to Christmas with small gifts each day in stockings or left elsewhere, but we can use this idea anytime. You can count down the start of baseball season or basketball season or football season or any season. You could count down to the premiere, the season premiere of your favorite television show. Again, just have fun. On the whole countdown thing, shout out to my parents. So when I was little, when my brother and I were little, they made the 12 days of Christmas countdowns with small matchboxes that they wrapped in holiday wrapping paper, and they glued them to this thick ribbon. And so imagine this thick red ribbon with 12 matchboxes that were wrapped, hanging on the wall, one set for each of us. And so each morning, when we would get up, we would go to the matchbox that corresponded with that particular day. And we would either find a small thing or a little note that led to, some kind of a scavenger hunt to find a little present, or sometimes there was $1 or, some candy. And it was really fun. When we were little, everything was, tiny and kid related. And when it was older, it kind of got a little bit more challenging. And that's when the notes and the clues came in, and that was a blast. So when I went away to college, they sent me a care package, and of course, one for my roommate, because my parents are never ones to leave anyone out. And in the package were 12 wrapped gifts, one for each day in December until we went home for winter break. Thanks, Mom and Dad. That was pretty cool. Don't forget little holidays. Many of us go big on major holidays, but we can go small on minor holidays and have just as much and maybe even more fun. Remember our discussion? Oh, we haven't discussed this yet. My note is incorrect to myself. I apologize. But there's this thing called Chase's calendar, and it is a calendar of all of those, random days that we celebrate or months. And maybe they're not so random. So things like October, right, being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, February being Heart Month. There's other things like Love a Pet Day, Pancake Day, those sorts of things. And these minor holidays can be a lot of fun to celebrate, both in your home and maybe even also in your business, to put together a promotion surrounding some of those days. Chase's calendar is one example. There's lots of them. There's websites that have different days. Some of the websites even have ideas for celebrating, and it's something that you could really have a lot of fun. There's individual days, right? Like National Pancake Day or Pizza Day or Ice Cream Day. There's week-long observances. There's month-long observances. So I believe that you could probably do this every day if you wanted. I don't know if it's necessarily important to go that far, but you do you. I'm in full support. And if you do this every day, please keep track of it. And please let me know. Let all of us know. So a related idea that I thought it might be fun to share is the idea of making up your own rituals and your own traditions. When my kids were in high school, we used to have homemade breakfast Wednesdays where I would cook something for them before they went to school. It wasn't always fancy, but it was fun, and it was something that we all looked forward to. I was not the mom that made homemade breakfast or hot breakfast for my kids every day. Full disclosure. I even at one point used to take requests from my oldest daughter's friends, as she often left really early and she would take her breakfast with her. And so she would take a little bit of extra to share with her friends. So things like scones and biscuits, or even, breakfast sandwiches. So that was fun. The bottom line is to look for the little things in your life that maybe are the first time that you're doing something. Mark that milestone. Maybe this is the largest of whatever it is, right? Maybe it's the smallest of whatever it is. Maybe it's the longest, shortest, craziest, most, you fill in the blank. It's frankly pretty easy to create a milestone, and really use your imagination and whatever else you can think of. I encourage you to discover them, to mark them, and to pause and find joy in them. Sometimes it's the little milestones, just the little things that have the most impact. Please don't let them get lost in all of our busyness and in all of your busyness. So, thank you so much for joining me today. I'd love to hear what you think. Please let me know at my website, betsyAhays.com, BetsyAhays.com. And you know what I'm going to say next. To help keep this podcast going, please subscribe, comment, share, rate, review. Anything that you can do will help more folks discover the podcast and make me happy. I very much appreciate and value your support. Please tune in next week for the next episode of Handled-ish, Productivity for the Imperfect. Until then, please take care and be kind to yourself. You are doing way better than you think you are. Trust me.